Hey guys, Dream Chaser Jazz from Codex is here. Welcome to the Black Girl Tech Club. Today we are building a simple calculator app using C#. We'll walk through how to handle basic arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. It's a great project for beginners to practice coding logic and UI design, although we won't do very much in this video. So if you're ready to crunch some numbers, let's dive in. We'll search for the MVC web project. Then we'll click next. We'll name our application. I'll just name it calculator app. And next, and finally create. I'll start by heading over to the program file. Let's open up some of these folders. Just want to make sure everything looks good over here. Think about whether or not I need to add anything. Everything looks good. I'm going to change the name of my controller to calculator, so I'll rename it there and then rename the actual controller. That way everything gets mapped correctly. Now let's start by adding a new data model. I'll call it calculator view model. So for my user inputs, I'll have a section, and then for my calculation results, I'll have a section. So for the user inputs, I want operand 1, operand 2, and I also want the user to select the operation. So whether it's addition, multiplication, what have you. And then finally, a field for the result, and that should be all we need. Now let's head over to the controller, get rid of this default code here, and we'll start with our HTTP GET method. We'll place this on the index. So to start with, we just want to show an empty form. So just want to give the user space to enter their operands and select the operation. And now for an HTTP post. So this one, we're actually passing in the calculator view model. And we want to perform the calculation. So we'll start by setting a variable equal to 0. And once the user selects the operation, I'm going to do a switch statement here. So we just want to find out if they've selected addition, subtraction, multiplication, or what have you. And based on their selection, that's what we're going to do with the operands. So if it's subtraction, then we'll subtract. If it is multiplication, we will multiply. And finally, if it is division, so if it's division, it's a little bit of a special case because we don't want to run into a divide by 0 error. So let's do a little validation here. So if operand 2, or the bottom number, is equal to 0, and we want to just add an error to the model state. And we'll return the view. Otherwise, we'll perform the division operation. And finally, if they have not selected either of those 4 options, then we'll also add an error to the model state and let the user know they need to select a valid operation. Make sure we assign our result to the result field in the model. And now we can return our view with the data. Perfect. Okay, let's head over to our index view. We can get rid of this default code here. I'll start by injecting my model. Change the title of this page. Give it a basic header. And now a form with a post method. This is going to route to the index action of our calculator controller. Provide a label for operand 1 and an input box for operand 1. A span for validation here. We'll do the same for operand 2. Just copy and paste, make it a little quicker. Change these values here. And we also need a space for the user to select the operation. So for this one, I'll actually use a drop-down box. Let's add in our values here. So we'll use 1 for addition, 1 for subtraction. And so notice that the values we are assigning to these options are going to be what is mapped in our switch statement on the controller. So this is essentially how the user is deciding which operation to perform on the operands they enter. Give it a validation span here. A little bit of space. And now let's add some validation to the page, or better yet, just some error checking. So if there are any errors in the model states, then you can just list them out. Do a for each statement here. With a list of error messages. And finally, if we have a result that's returned, then we want to just display it out to the user. All right. Let's check our layout. We can do a little bit of updating here, a little bit of cleanup. Just simplify this a little bit, get rid of one of those CSS style sheets. Can get rid of some of this code in the header. We want to keep our render body code there. We'll just add a basic header. Render body looks good, main looks good, footer. Okay, view import looks good, view start looks good as well. Let's check our CSS up here. So I'm gonna update the font. Little Arial and sans serif, add a little bit to the margin. Just pretty it up a tad bit. And now let's run our application. And there we have it. Okay, we have our space for our operand 1. Let's enter a number here, space for operand 2. And let's test out our addition. We'll click our calculate button, and there we go. Result equals 15. Let's change some numbers here. Perfect. And subtraction works well. Multiplication looks good. Division, perfect. Let's try to divide by 0. Okay, we get our cannot divide by 0 error. And finally, let's make sure our field validation works. Awesome. Works just as we expected. All right, guys, that's it for our C# calculator. Now it's your turn to take this project and run with it. Add more operations, jazz up the user interface, or optimize the code however you'd like. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment with your ideas, and subscribe for more coding tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.